Hey, how's it going? It's been a while since we last talked. I know, again, this is a YouTube video, but we don't have to pretend like it is. We can just pretend like it is just you and me sitting down and having a conversation. It's kind of how I like to imagine these videos. I hope you're doing okay. I really do. I know that this year has been really stressful for everyone, um, especially with the pandemic. And I hope you're taking good care of yourself. I know that when it comes to going from day to day, going to work, coming home, doing whatever chores or errands you need to run, that can be pretty stressful. Maybe you're thinking about your job and how that fits into your life. That's something I've been thinking about as well. You know, I think the world tells a lot of people, figure out what you want to do and do it. Follow your dreams or follow your passions. Go for this job because that's what you want to do. And I think that really there's been a shift in that mentality over the last, probably say, 100 years. If we talk to our grandparents or their parents' generation, they would say, just be grateful you have a job, right? Something that can pay the bills. If you have a good job, just be happy with it. I think really my generation and my parents' generation, they were the ones that said, no, you should get a job you love or enjoy. I think there's an underlying lie with that. And the underlying lie is that you can be or get an immense amount of satisfaction out of your life with the job you pick. I'm not trying to say that you can't, but I just don't know if that's true for everybody. I think most people, up until, again, my generation and my parents' generation, people didn't get jobs to receive satisfaction out of the work itself. They got a job so they could receive satisfaction from other things. So maybe they have a job or get a promotion at work so that they can get more money, so that they can have a family or get into a bigger house, right? So that they can have their friends over, or have a certain lifestyle, or do certain volunteer work, or have certain hobbies that wouldn't be afforded to them if they didn't have that job. It's almost like the corporate or the work environment is replacing the family. Again, up until my generation, most people would say that their dream was to get married, to have a family, to be involved in their community, possibly even their religious community. And we see the workplace increasingly replace that, right? How the term the corporate family is almost replacing people's actual families. People have work husbands or work wives, or flirtations in the workplace, or even affairs in the workplace. Right? So in a way, it's substituting that institution of marriage. Employers taking on mentorees, we could say. Boards, we could say, right? A boss taking on a subordinate to mentor to eventually take his position. And I'm not trying to say that that's not important in the workplace. But in a way, it's replacing the satisfaction that certain people get, they would normally get from having children. And so we see this evolution in the workplace, how the workplace is becoming more and more overbearing, right? It's, I think fewer employers out there won't necessarily tolerate the sacrifices you make from your family. Hey, I need to leave right now. My spouse is having a hard time, or my kid's having a hard time. There's very few employers who actually are very flexible in that area. I work for one employer, and I no longer work for them, but there was a single mom there, and she really needed time to her schedule adjusted so she could work with the babysitter, so she could be off for when she needed to be off for her kids. And she even worked with her coworkers who were willing to adjust their schedules so she could facilitate this and work full time at this particular job and go in line with the babysitter schedule. And also, she worked it all out with her current, her coworkers, and management shot her down. And so she put in her 2-week notice and got a better job somewhere else. And I think as an employer, really, I don't think you can have a more loyal employee than a single mom. And a single mom one time told me that. She said, I don't feel you can find a better, hardworking, more loyal employee than a single mom. Because she needs that job. And I just thought that was so sad, how this employer was so rigid. And I just think that's so sad. Right? Back in the day, and this is again generations in the past, average people would look to their pastors, right, or different moral philosophers for guidance. And yet now you're seeing CEOs coming out with proclamations about morality in society in general. We don't need to necessarily get political, but there might be, if let's say there's a wave of something happening, CEOs come out and they make announcements to their employees. And I'm not trying to say it's bad to have a CEO stand up for morality or for these good things, but who's looking to the CEO as a moral arbitrator, right? I think as we push these things aside, it's really the corporations fulfilling these things. I don't know how many times I've worked with people who said, this job is so much more important to me than the job because the people here are my family. I think, really? Your boss didn't give birth to you. If you passed away, they would have your job opening on the website the next day. And of course, I've heard managers say this. We're a family here. I don't know. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I'll tell you, I've moved on multiple occasions. I've never had All my coworkers show up to help me move. But my family always has. Right? Whereas this is somewhat of a tangent. But how does work fit into your life? And what role should it play? I don't think it should play the role of family. I don't think it should play the role of substitute spouses or substitute children. Now, if you end up falling in love with a coworker and getting married, that's great, and I'm happy for you. And many marriages start off that way, so I'm not trying to downplay that. But I am trying to downplay the substitution of a fulfilling spousal relationship by having affairs with coworkers. It's not healthy. It's destructive behavior that can seep into the personal life. I'll tell you, about a week or two ago, I actually purchased for myself a Spider-Man costume, and I tried it on, and I looked like Spider-Man from the Sam Raimi movies. And I went to my nephew's birthday party, and he and all his friends actually thought that I was Spider-Man, and I took pictures with them, and I was jumping in the bouncy castle with them. We were having a great time. And I looked at that, and it was something fun that I did, and it was something that I did for my family. And I'll tell you, I've had many jobs, and I've really tried to help a lot of people through my jobs, but none of my jobs, out of all my jobs, there's been nothing that I've done, for me personally, that's been more fulfilling than that. Because I was doing it for someone that I loved, and for people I loved. Maybe you need to rethink it. Rethink how your job is in your life. Are you wanting a better job because, better pay will help your family and help you fulfill your dreams? Or are you trying to are you trying to satisfy unmet needs in your heart? Because I'll tell you, if that's what it is, I don't know if necessarily jumping ship to a different company is going to fix that for you. Take a hard look at yourself. Ask yourself those tough questions, right? I mean, if your dream is to do X, and having that job genuinely does and will make you happy, then all more power to you, right? But I think sometimes we just kind of wander. Sometimes as humans we wander from job to job to job and career to career. And why? I'll tell you, it's not because it makes us happier. Sometimes it's because we're trying to fill some holes in our heart. Maybe we have an unfulfilling marriage. Or maybe you haven't built a family and you're wanting to substitute that you want a community to be a part of. And you don't feel that this work community is fulfilling that for you. Maybe instead of going to a new job, maybe volunteering might fulfill that for you. Maybe finding a local fraternity or sorority might help you. Maybe taking a community class, like at a community college or something like that. Volunteering with an organization. Helping out, maybe getting to know your neighbors. Start hosting parties at your place, right? Maybe getting involved with an activist group. Doing something bigger than yourself. Maybe making a list of all your dreams and start working on those one at a time. You don't necessarily have to jump to a different job to make an impact on the world. You know, they say, I want to change the world. That's, I think, what most people say. I want to change the world. Please, I want to change the world. I'll tell you, maybe you can't change the world, but you can change someone's world. And I think that those people who you can change are probably a lot closer to you than you think. It's just something to think about. Well, unfortunately, I have to go, and I have to let you go. But I really do enjoy talking to you. Thank you for hearing me out. I really appreciate it. Whatever you're searching for, I hope you find it. And I hope we can have a lot of deeper conversations about this. Remember that God is always looking out for you, and you can always include Him in this process as well, as He deeply cares about you in this process. Until next time, I hope you take care of yourself. Don't forget that you are loved. That there are angels that watch over you. You take care.